Hi, Matt here from Mind Move Manifest, and I want to talk to you today a little bit about how to turn a bad situation around and turn it around quickly. When you start to understand the energy and the way that energy works, and you get into the it's just understanding of what it is, you realize that there's a great responsibility with that knowledge, and we are responsible for our own energy. That's it, and we think we have a misunderstanding that we're going to be able to help somebody or help a situation in our life by joining up with that energy. And if that situation's not going in a way that you want it to go, it's going to be in a negative energy, as you would put it, because it's just not a way that you want it to go. And when it comes to people, that's the greatest way to describe this and use this as an example. People start to understand what this is and they start to raise their own vibration, but the first thing that they run into is oh, that this situation is bad and that situation is bad, and we feel like that situation should be something different than what it is so that we can be okay. So we're still doing it, and you can see that. The only way that we can do that, the responsibility and the understanding of that, is this. We are responsible for our own energy, and the way to raise the energy in any situation or person, as we're using as an example here, is by holding your energy high. How do we do that? It's very simple. Everything has good and bad, or what we would call positive and negative in it. So we have to become aware of what it is that we're focusing on. And when it's a particular person, if that person has a negative energy, you have to think about it from this point of view. They don't know that. They're probably not aware of that. If they were aware of that, they would realize that they could change that if they were aware of what we're talking about. But most people that are in that way of being are just thinking about what they're going through. They're just thinking about themselves. And you, being of a higher understanding, are able to understand that there's good and bad in everything. So you can focus on the good in that person. And by doing that and creating that habit, that's what you're doing in life anyways, is you're being able to go out there and focus on the good in that situation, in every situation that you're facing. So you're being in tune with that, and you're being programmed to be that way, focusing on the good. So when you're in a situation that's not going the way that you want, and it might be ongoing, it might be a worker that you work with, a coworker, it might be a family member, it might be, things of that nature, you see that you're able to stop that and change that. The only way that you're going to be able to change that is to keep your energy high and then help the person. And again, this can be applied to a situation too, but help the person to come up to a higher energy. And we pause. And you change the subject. If you're talking about something negative, you change the subject. Now, you don't just change it to something out of the blue and say, look at that. That's strange for people. And they're like, why did that, why is that? You change the subject to the person. Because as I said, they're usually focused on them. They're focused on their situation. And the way that you change that subject is being able to point out what is good, something good about that person. And as I've pointed out in the past, that can be as simple as if somebody is really diligent about how negative things are. Oh my gosh, this is the worst. You can actually take a step back from that and say, you're a very detail-oriented person, and I like that about you. You leave no stone unturned, and you're able to look at the details in your life. I think that's amazing. Do you do that in other areas of your life? And that gets to be a shift. The person is still thinking about them, but they're looking at it from a light that says, this is something positive about me. This is something that we can begin to take the conversation, and as we know in M3, the vibration to a higher level. That's it. Now, if that doesn't work, which I've not run across a situation where that doesn't work, it works every time. But if the chance were to come that were not to work for you, understand that your energy is your responsibility, and you always have the right to remove your energy from that energy. Keeping your energy high, love, joy, and peace is your only responsibility. It's the only way that we help the people around us, and it's the only way that we help the world. So this is Matt here with Mind Move Manifest M3, and I'm just talking to you today about how to shift those situations so that when you become aware of this information, you don't immediately start pushing up against the world and saying, oh, I've got it, I get it, but now all these people around me, they don't get it. So now that's bad. That's bad. And now here's an impossible thing that I can't do. That's not true. You have the ability to change it right then and there. And I often tell people that when you're working with your coach, when you're working with me, you're playing around in what we would call amateur land, and you have to recognize that. When you go to a retreat, everything is wonderful, the energy is high, so it's really easy for you to keep your energy high in those settings. But you start to move to the pro levels of doing these things when you go out into the world as the world exists now, because the world is not full of high energy. But it's your job to get better and better at being able to maintain your high energy. It's the only way that we can help. I hope you take this information. I hope you use it in your life. This one in particular for me has had one of the most profound impacts in my life. I did a lot of damage on relationships close to me, family members and friends and things of that nature. And through this very method that I'm telling you, all of that stuff changed and turned around for me. So I hope you take it and you use it in the same positive fashion too.